Heavy smog is choking Moscow. A huge amount of smoke from wildfires continued cloaking the sweltering Russian capital on Saturday and was expected to hang in until at least next week. The heavy smog turned the city's spires into ominous blurs and grounding flights while glum pedestrians trudged the streets with faces hidden by surgical masks and water-soaked bandanas. The smoke crept into many buildings on Friday, hovering about the ceiling and entryways. The State Historical Museum on Red Square was forced to close because it couldn't stop its smoke detectors from going off. The Russian capital is waiting for a wind of change to disperse it. The Russian news agency RIA reported on Saturday. The smell of fires burning around Moscow will remain in the air until wind changes its direction, meteorologists said. Airborne pollutants, such as carbon monoxide, were at least 4 times higher than average readings on Friday, the worst seen to date in Moscow, city health officials reported. The concentration appeared likely to intensify. The state news agency reported smoke was thickening in the city's southeast late Friday. The wildfires, which were raging across much of western Russia, come after weeks of extraordinary heat. Daily highs of up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius, compared with the summer average of 75, and practically no rain. The Natural Resources Minister said Friday that there's no water shortage yet because officials had kept reservoir levels high, but he noted that river levels are down by more than 20% due to increased demands for water to battle the fires and practically no water flowing in. The fires drew comment from officials and activists at international climate change talks in Germany. Chief U.S. delegate said Russia's situation and the massive recent floods that have devastated Pakistan are consistent with the kind of changes we would expect to see from climate change, and they will only get worse unless we act quickly. So in other words, climate change, or whatever you want to call it, is already here. It's already upon the earth and getting worse rapidly. But the environmental group Greenpeace said the negotiators weren't getting the message. Russia is burning and Pakistan is drowning, yet they seem happy to continue as if they have all the time in the world. The group's climate policy director said in a statement, but they don't have all the time in the world. Now is the time for change. Dozens of flights were grounded and others were diverted away from the capital's airports as visibility deteriorated to as little as 200 meters during the day. By Friday evening, the 3 airports reportedly were resuming normal service. Visibility in the capital was down to a few dozen yards due to the smoke, which is forecast to hang around for days due to the lack of wind. It's just impossible to work, said one Moscow resident. I don't know what the government is doing. They should just cancel office hours. Russian health officials have urged those who have to go outdoors to don face masks and told people staying inside to hang wet towels to attract dust and cool the airflow. The health ministry said hundreds and hundreds have needed medical attention due to the smog. Ken Donaldson, professor of respiratory toxicology at the University of Edinburgh, said people with asthma, bronchitis, lung disease, or heart problems were the most vulnerable to the smog. For people with underlying health problems, the particles in the smog could be the straw that breaks a camel's back, he said. He said concentrations of carbon monoxide, even at 4 to 5 times higher than normal, was not alarming unless people became trapped in an enclosed space. The more dangerous gases are ozone or sulfur dioxide, he said, but those are not usually produced by burning. More than 500 separate blazes were burning nationwide Friday, mainly across western Russia, amid the country's most intense heat wave in at least 130 years, or possibly ever. All high-temperature records have been beaten or broken. Never has this country seen anything like this, and we simply have no experience working in such conditions, said the Moscow emergency official, adding that 31 forest fires and 15 peat bog fires were burning in the Moscow region alone. At least 52 people have died, and more than 2,000 homes have been destroyed in the blazes. Russian officials have admitted that the 10,000 firefighters battling the blazes aren't enough, an assessment echoed by many villagers who said the fires swept for their villages in minutes. To minimize further damage, Russian workers evacuated explosives from military faculties and were sending planes, helicopters, and even robots in to help control blazes around the country's top nuclear research faculty in Sarov, 300 miles east of Moscow. A wildfire last week caused huge damage at a Russian naval air base outside Moscow, and there are fires around Chernobyl. Moscow faces temperatures approaching 38 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, for the next week, according to the forecast, in contrast to its average summer temperature of around 23 degrees Celsius, or 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, these are massive wildfires, like never, ever before seen. Climate change is real. It's happening now. And all these are more signs of the end times, transition days, which is a process increasing in frequency. In other words, everything that must change quickly or rapidly, and for the better. Because again, it's about what kind of world are we leaving to the future generations. Revelation, chapter 12, verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time. 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. 14. And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent. 15. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. 16. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. And there are many different signs happening in many different ways all around the world, day by day.